Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. We begin tonight with news that more Barbadian homes will be getting natural gas. But in order to do so, Prime Minister Fendel Stewart says the now marginal utility rates will have to go up. He says this is to allow the National Petroleum Corporation to expand and reach over 75% of the households it does not cover right now. Mr. Stewart made the disclosure while leading off debate in the House of Assembly this morning on a bill to amend the Natural Petroleum Act to make better provision of natural gas rates. The amendment has included natural gas in the definition of petroleum. Now, Prime Minister Stewart believes natural gas should be in every parish in Barbados, but for this to happen, he says there must be a change in its rates.
The rates upon which it has had to rely, certainly since 1994, in the case of commercial and industrial customers, and since 2002, in the case of domestic customers, have been highly concessional rates, far below what the market would demand. And as a result of that, it has only been able to touch 25% of its domestic market, leaving 75% of that market waiting for natural gas. It has also only been able to touch 8 of the 11 parishes, leaving St. Joseph, St. Lucy and St. John out of the natural gas picture altogether.
The Prime Minister remarked on the significant operational challenges the NPC has undergone, and he announced that Cabinet has decided to amalgamate the NPC and the BNOCL to create greater efficiency. A multi-million-dollar loan from the IADB will be secured for the venture.
To facilitate that, a loan of $34 million is being secured from the Inter-American Development Bank, the first drawdown of which should come in another 3 months once the conditions precedent have been satisfied, and a number of issues related to both entities will be dealt with out of those funds, things like systems upgrade and institutional strengthening and capacity building and so on. And overall, we should be in a better position to deal with the issues related to the supply of natural gas in Barbados.
Meanwhile, government is being chastised for not positioning the Barbados National Oil Company Limited as the leader in renewable energy. The criticism comes from St. George South MP Dwight Sutherland.
There's no reason why you should not have a 10 to 20 megawatt wind farm by BNOC and utilizing local investors to buy into the whole plant, the actual 10 megawatt plant. There's no reason why we should not have done that, led by BNOC. Led by BNOC. Foreign investment could have been 20%. Local investment 50%, and utilities could invest 30%. That is where the Barbados National Oil Company should be focusing.
Mr. Sutherland was also critical of the current level of local crude oil production, noting there is a correlation between that output and natural gas production.
We are now averaging less than 500 barrels a day of crude oil production. That is what we are averaging, less than 500 barrels of crude oil production a day. And that will always force us to import natural gas. So we have become a net importer of natural gas. Foreign exchange going out of the country.
Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth, Stephen Lashley, says the amended NPC legislation is in keeping with the thrust of government to ensure statutory corporations are made efficient. He says the Barbados Labour Party, while in office, lacked the capacity to guide the NPC towards a sustainable path. Mr. Lashley says the NPC needs to be placed on a better financial footing.
You can hear nothing that connects with what this House is being called upon to debate. So I want want to say, Mr. Speaker, that I believe in reinforcing the points made by the Right Honourable Prime Minister, that we are faced with a situation where the NPC, in terms of its development, of its capacity, has largely been lopsided. We need to put it on an even footing in terms of to address the future and the present demands of the consumers of Barbados.
Housing Minister Dennis Kelman has called on more commercial entities to install natural gas. He says there are several benefits to this, including cutting down the overall cost to consumers. Mr. Kelman says the Arawak cement plant in St. Lucie has already given a commitment to get on board with the service because it also recognizes the environmental benefits to the move. He has also encouraged the Barbados Light and Power to come on board, saying it fits with the power company's change in focus to renewable energy.
This now allows us not only to satisfy the demands of the people of Barbados, it also solves the environmental problems, and it allows us an opportunity to reduce the deficit and to spread natural gas right across the country.
In other news now, as the Barbados Water Authority carries out major upgrades at the island's largest pumping station, customers are being warned they may experience some disruptions to their service. Work for the installation of 2 additional pumps at the Bell pumping station started at 4 this evening and is expected to be completed by 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Engineer in charge of operations and maintenance at the BWA, Hector Marshall, says some Christchurch and St. Michael districts will be affected.
Honestly, once we're going to shut down from here, but the desalination plant will still be in operation and they'll still be giving us their 6 million gallons. So areas like Bridgetown and those lower elevated areas will not feel the impact like the higher elevations, like areas under the Fort George system, which is the highest system on this Bell pump station source. Those areas like in Clapham and those higher elevated areas, St. Barnabas, Pine, those areas will feel the impact.
Mr. Marshall explains the upgrades will help boost the amount of water pumped at the station daily.
Currently, we are moving 10 million gallons of water per day from this Bell pump station, 4 by 2 million gallon pumps from the well on the inside of the station, and 1 2 million gallon pumps on the outside of the station in location we call the annex. On the 9th and 10th, which will be next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, Ionis desalination plant on Spring Garden will close down. We normally get about 6 million gallons per day from the desal plant. And because they'll be offline for 2 days, it means we're going to have a shortage of supply into our distribution system. So what we're trying to do today at the Bell Pump Station is to install 2 additional pumps into the station, 1 2 million gallon pump and 1 million gallon pump, to increase the production from this pump station by 3 million gallons per day.
The image Barbadians have had about the Grantley Adams Memorial School is about to change. In fact, Principal Dennis Brown says the school is on a path to win the hearts of all Barbadians. Sharika Griffith has more.
For many years, there's been a stigma attached to the Grantley Adams Memorial School. But Principal Dennis Brown has been seeking to change that, and he spoke today about those efforts.
We have positive young people in this country. We are doing positive things at the school, and that despite what persons might have heard in the past, that is no longer the school that is now in existence.
As the school celebrates its 62nd anniversary, it has been highlighting the positive work being done within its walls. Following the historic raising of the school flag days ago, the festivities continued with the annual district march. Principal Brown says one positive thing is that the school enjoys a good relationship with residents and surrounding communities.
Any evening of the life of this school, you can come and find members of the community using our hard courts, using our classrooms to do varying classes, various exercising events. Our playing field is heavily used by the community, and we usually have a close relationship with them.
Several groups, including the choir, 4-H club, and student council, marched from the school into nearby Branchbury to the beating drums of the Lodge School Cadet Band. And the community interaction is expected to continue as the cosmetology lab will soon be open for business.
As a matter of fact, our newly renovated cosmetology lab is now going to be used to service the community. In so doing, the students will be able to get real-life, hands-on experiences in dealing with customers and providing the services of pedicures and manicures and so on.
The school also plans to provide community service and gift baskets to elderly community members. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thanks, Sharika. Well, magistrates recording evidence by hand should be a thing of the past by month end. It's one of several steps taken recently to help reduce the backlog of both civil and criminal cases before the courts. The announcement came from Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite during a panel discussion on crime hosted by the St. Philip Parish Church. He says recording equipment recently handed over to the court should be installed by the end of this month, and abolishing preliminary inquiries should also help the situation.
Preliminary inquiries is where you had an indictable matter. It was heard before the magistrate who made a determination in terms of whether or not there was a matter to be heard, whether or not the evidence suggests that there was a matter to be tried, and then it went into the High Court. Those took a bit of time. We've abolished them so that these matters can now, so that the magistrate then now looks at what the evidence in front of him or her and makes that determination and stuff. The Chief Justice have just sent me a draft practice direction on plea bargaining. We believe that there are a large number of individuals who will plead guilty, and get their matters heard.
Mr. Brathwaite says they're also pushing for mediation to speed up civil matters.
We are trying to move to a system where we have mediation or alternative dispute resolution, etc. We're trying to move people away from believing that they must have their day in court, that only the most serious of matters will then attract the attention of the courts. We are doing some additional training to judges and to magistrates in terms of making decisions.
Police are still trying to determine how 57-year-old Anson McLaren Boyce of Skeets Road, Rose Hill in St. Peter met his death yesterday. Boyce was discovered by his brother, 64-year-old Ashford Boyce, with whom he shared a home, just after midday. Now, the older brother returned from a walk to discover his brother's bleeding body in the house. Acting Police Public Relations Officer Inspector Stephen Griffith is asking residents of the community to report any information to the District E police station. A police officer has been charged with fraud. He is Station Sergeant Cecil Taylor of 7th Avenue West Terrace, St. James. 50-year-old Taylor was formally charged with 2 counts of fraud, which occurred on January 30th. He appeared before Magistrate Christopher Birch, where he was not allowed to plead to the indictable charges. The station sergeant was granted bail in the sum of $5,000 with one surety to return to Oyston's Court on the 9th of May. He was instructed to surrender his travel documents and must report to the Whole Town Police Station every Tuesday and Thursday before 9:30 a.m. And we'll have more news after this break.
From June 6 to 12, Barbados, in partnership with the United States Southern Command, will host Exercise Tradewinds, the largest regional multi-agency disaster management exercise held in the Caribbean. It will offer unique training opportunities to assist emergency management responders in improving regional cooperation, military and civilian interaction, and national and regional capabilities.
Tradewinds 2017, a seamless states partnership for a secure region.
Stay informed with news you can trust. been searching for the suspect or suspects responsible for a shooting.
Current, accurate, Morning Barbados News, brought to you every Wednesday at 7 a.m. with the compliments of the Special Olympics Outreach and Skills Program, a project by the European Union.
There's another call for government taxes on sweet drinks to be increased. According to Canadian registered dietitian, nutrition and obesity expert Helene Charlebois, the tax should be raised to 20%. She says the money raised from the tax could help to subsidize healthier foods, lowering the island's high obesity rates.
Your document on Health of the Nation indicates that you have 64% weight management and obesity issues. In Canada, we have 62. In the US, is a little bit higher at 67%. The children as well. So some people say we can't make a dent in it. If we can start with the children, in 20 years, they'll be healthy adults. Because right now we know obese kids grow into obese adults. So I think, you know, let's look at long term because we're way, way, way behind the 8 ball at this point.
Ms. Charlebois was speaking at the first of 3 nutrition seminars organized by Hibiscus Health Caribbean Inc. The second seminar for non-nutritionists will be held tomorrow at Sky Mall, while the final one will be at the same venue on Sunday for fitness professionals and enthusiasts. She says there needs to be more education on obesity management.
At university, colleges, you're not taught obesity management. Physicians are not taught obesity management. It's starting, we could see it slowly creeping up, but this is something that I urge that maybe the action plan today is looking at the internships of all health disciplines, looking at the education of all health disciplines, and really start focusing more on obesity management, because if you don't, it's putting band-aids on hypertension, on heart disease.
And with concern rising about incidents of high blood pressure, strokes and heart attacks in Barbados, the Heart and Stroke Foundation is adopting some proactive measures. And it's spearheading an initiative called May Measurement Month 2017. And joining us live to tell us what this entails is Dr. Kenneth Connell, who is the president of the Heart and Stroke Foundation, as well as the deputy dean of the Faculty of Medical Sciences at the University of the West Indies. Quite a mouthful, Dr. Connell.
Thank you,
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Now,
and good evening, Barbados.
Now, the May Measurement Month 2017, we know how big a problem these chronic non-communicable diseases are in Barbados. So tell us exactly what this is.
So the non-communicable diseases, including hypertension, are massive problems, and this response is really a massive response. It's the first of its kind. It's being spearheaded by the International Society of Hypertension and the World Hypertension League, and what it will seek to do, which has never been done before, is to measure 25 million blood pressures internationally in over 100 countries, and Barbados is just one of 2 Caribbean islands who are involved in it, and we are quite pleased to be the managers at the Heart and Stroke Foundation of the project here locally, but we have partnered, of course, with the university in this effort.
Okay, now I don't know if it is a good thing or a bad thing that we've been selected as one of 2 from the Caribbean, because I'm kind of feeling like that's speaking to a severe problem in Barbados.
Well, actually, Barbados was not selected. We selected to be part of this initiative, which of course sends a strong statement of our commitment to address the NCD problem and hypertension. And as I say often to my friends and colleagues, as we are known for Sir Garfield Sobers and for Rihanna, we are also sadly known for NCDs, and so every Barbadian out there should know their risk, a cardiovascular risk, which includes their blood pressure measurement.
Okay, so how is this initiative going to be executed?
So the initiative, as I said earlier, is partnered with UE, the Faculty of Medical Sciences Cave campus. So over the last week, almost 40 of our medical students have been training quite intensely in recording blood pressures and using the various health information to be shared with the public at the various locations. And they will be on site at UE Cave Hill campus, at the Heart and Stroke Foundation, at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and at AA Lackey's in Lantern Mall as well. They'll be there, as well as several business houses that have come on board in this international effort. And they will take blood pressures under standard conditions. The data will be collected, and it will send, of course, globally an international signal to governments about the awareness of hypertension and how being aware of it at a national level can influence policy.
So who are you targeting specifically? Are you sending out like a wide call for everybody to come in and get tested?
So we really would like everyone in Barbados to get tested, and those of you who want to be tested, anyone is free to be tested. However, to be part of the project, you would not have had your blood pressure done, or you should not have had your blood pressure done within the last year. And what that's really sending the signal is that people who may not be known to be hypertensive or have an elevated blood pressure, this may be their first time for diagnosis. And of course, we give them advice about taking further action and seeing their healthcare professional.
Now, once all of this information is gathered, what's the next step?
The next step, it will be the information, of course, will be more than likely shared with the international community and, of course, Barbados. There will be various spin-off projects. For instance, I already know there's another one coming early next year. And increased awareness, of course, will be highlighted through the Heart and Stroke Foundation and the UWI. And we aim to almost write a policy statement to government and the various stakeholders on the importance of awareness and what this data has shown us.
Now, one of the things that Barbados is known for, sadly, is being the amputation capital of the world. Diabetes yes. being one of the more pressing chronic non-communicables. Will this study and this type of information help to reverse that trend in Barbados?
Right, so we're a sweet country and not just by means of sugar cane. And interesting you brought up diabetes or blood sugar because the mortality predictor, or the thing that kills you in diabetes, is actually not your blood sugar control, but it's your blood pressure control. And so we want to send a very strong signal to Barbadians, not just to be testing their blood sugar in diabetes, but especially their blood pressure.
People may say, but this is just another exercise. You're just collecting blood pressure measurements. When you get it, you may just tell people, oh, you need to take medication or control your blood pressure. But fundamentally, how are we going to benefit from
I think it's changing the philosophy as a country, as to how we deal with an NCD, and not just seeing a non-communicable disease like hypertension as only checking my blood pressure because I have hypertension. But because you live in Barbados, which is an NCD capital, you should know your blood pressure. Just as you know your national ID number and your license plate number, you should know your numbers for your blood pressure, and you should know what's normal and what's abnormal.
Okay, thank you. So when is it starting?
It starts, we have a massive media launch on May 8th at the Heart and Stroke Foundation, and we will be back here on set at CBC on The People's Business on Sunday night, Barbados. Look out for us on The People's Business to have a much more prolonged discourse on the matter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Dr. Kenneth Connell, the president of the Heart and Stroke Foundation. At least one commercial center is honoring its commitment to preserve the planet, and it's coming in response to local and international concerns about the dangerous effects which plastics are having on the environment. Manager at Sheraton Mall, Sharon Oran, says from the beginning of June, a number of its largest retailers will be implementing a fee for customers who opt to use plastic bags when shopping. She says it's all in an effort to make Barbados environmentally stable in the face of pollution, both on land and in the ocean.
We encourage the Barbadian public to request all the stores in Barbados, at every mall, at every store in Bridgetown, all over, to provide healthy alternatives. By doing so, each and every one of us becomes a change maker, and we move one step closer to improving the health and wellness of our families.
Management at Sheraton also announced that they will be implementing green zones to facilitate the recycling of plastic and glass bottles. Now, also speaking at the launch of the program was Public Relations Officer of the Barbados Future Center Trust, Cammie Holder. He says an estimated $13 billion is spent annually to repair environmental damage globally. And he's calling on local manufacturers to make more products which can be recycled, even if it means considering adding an environmental cost to retail prices.
Because currently, water bottles are not subjected to a deposit. And we're hoping that even water bottles can be part of that Returnable Containers Act. I am, as part of the Future Center Trust, is willing to hold a brief, just like any lawyer, on behalf of Mother Nature. And we're willing to boycott any establishment which is not sustainable in its practices. Because the money in the bank account does not matter if it doesn't have a healthy environment.
Teachers are being reminded to be careful how they dress for school, and the Barbados Union of Teachers wants them to be aware of the image they project to students. President of the BUT, Pedro Shepherd, has even suggested the matter of teachers' dress is one the Ministry of Education will have to look at.
Each school has its own uniform code and dress code, more or less. And I think it is just a matter of policing. I know they have been saying for years that the Education Act speaks to teachers dressing soberly, and that because of its vague nature, you are not able to say to teachers exactly what you would prefer to see them in. I know the heads of departments, which in our case would be the principals, also have some say in how teachers dress, but of course people talk about fashion and the trends and so on. But I personally believe that there ought to be standards, and I believe that if we are molding the minds of our young people, that we have to set certain standards. And when it comes to outlandish hairstyles and certain types of dress and so on, I personally have a concern.
Well, just ahead, we'll take a look at stories making headlines across the region.
Get ready for some Caribbean fun with Liat, the Caribbean airline, as we take a peek into summer and beyond. Book yourself a Caribbean getaway now and get 25% off all Liat fares for travel between July 1st and November 15th. But you must book on or before May 7th. Use promo code PEEK for this sweet summer deal of 25% off. Call our reservations department, your local travel agent, or visit liat.com to book. But hurry, limited seats available. Terms and conditions apply.
Which of the 7 dwarfs describes your wife in bed? Name a celebrity who has a big mouth and is not afraid to use it. Daryl.
Steve Harvey.
Watch Family Feud at a new time, 6 p.m. weekdays on CBC TV 8.
Take it back low, 6, 7, and take it smooth, body on, faster, take it out, take it out.
Mondays to Fridays at 5:30 a.m., repeated at 5:30 p.m. Sponsored by Fresh Vitamins on CBC TV 8.
CARICOM is mounting an electoral observer mission to monitor next Wednesday's general elections in the Bahamas. The CARICOM Secretariat arranged the deployment of the mission following an invitation from the Governor General of the Bahamas, Dame Marguerite Pindling. The mission will be headed by Josephine Tamay, Chief Elections Officer of the Department of Elections and Boundaries of Belize. Other members include representatives from Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, Guyana, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago. A business owner in St. Lucia has turned to the public to help in identifying 3 people who attempted to rob his establishment this week.
Charles Zhe, proprietor of the newly opened Chili's bar in Jacmel, is counting his lucky stars. He closed up the bar for the night at a little after midnight Wednesday. He returned at about 2:30 that afternoon to open his doors to the public, but immediately noticed that something was not right. Bandits had apparently attempted to enter the establishment, evidenced by the broken door trimmings and pride marks around the door. So who done it? The answer lies in surveillance footage.
They turned all my cameras. They even broke one of them in the attempt to shift it around. Yeah, they broke one of the cameras. The person was not able to enter the place, right, but they did some damage, right? I caught them on the footages on my surveillance camera. So right now I want to appeal to the public in helping me identify these persons, right? So that is basically it. Yeah, the police was on the scene. The police came there. As a matter of fact, they didn't have the time to stay for us to go through the village, so they had me to go through it myself, and when I get it, call them. So which I did. I sent it to them and I informed them that I would be putting it on the media.
News Force was provided with a copy of the surveillance video. The footage shows 3 individuals, one of them wearing a hooded shirt, while the other 2 did not attempt at hiding their faces. The businessman is of the opinion, however, that there may have been a fourth person playing the role of lookout.
Close to 4,800 undocumented foreigners from 12 countries were deported from the Dominican Republic last April. They were returned to their respective countries for failing to meet the necessary requirements. The group included Germans, Russians, Cubans, Italians, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Venezuelans, Haitians, Indians, Guyanese, and Serbians. They'd been apprehended in different parts of the country. The Guyana Police legal advisor, Madam Justice Claudette Singh, has complained about getting cases off her desk. She claims she's receiving minimal cooperation from special prosecutors. Royden James reports that steps are now being taken to quickly address and expedite cases that are currently before her.
Police legal advisor, retired Justice Claudette Singh, senior counsel, told sections of the media that the special prosecutors who were hired by government to prosecute cases being investigated by the Special Organized Crime Unit SOCU are not cooperative and not pulling their weight, adding that this is the primary reason why many investigations are not being expeditiously addressed. It was reported on Wednesday that 30 files have been sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions and the police legal advisor, but none were returned. It was against that backdrop Justice Singh made the disclosure. Nightly News sought clarification on the matter from Minister Joseph Harmon during Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing, since the special prosecutors were appointed directly by the government.
I believe what the Madam Justice Singh was saying is that she needed to have some meetings with the prosecutors themselves to clarify some issues, but not to complete investigation. They don't investigate, right? I understand that her urge is to ensure that we have watertight cases, and therefore the intention is to ensure that the prosecutors are engaged at a certain point.
The minister posited that the prosecutors are not in a position to stall cases since their roles and functions are not broad-based.
The prosecutor's job is not to investigate. They take a case, having it's been completed, and present it and prosecute it in the court.
However, the minister said that the matter has been brought up and will be addressed.
Police in Belize receiving assistance from the FBI with the investigation into the double murder of a couple, one an American, the other a Canadian. The couple resided in an expat community in the Corozal district. The U.S. State Department says it is monitoring the investigation by Belizean authorities. Now, in a press briefing, Belize police said the case is being treated as a murder investigation and they're looking into threats being made to the couple. A Canadian believed to be a tenant was detained and is in police custody pending charges in an unrelated case. Now, on April 26th, the couple was reported missing by a friend who was scheduled to take the wife to the airport to fly back to Canada. They were last seen socializing at a bar on the night of April 25th. After search parties were organized, their vehicle was found on Sunday in a cane field. Jamaica's Education Minister, Senator Rural Reid, says it could cost the government $50 million to renovate sections of the Westwood High School in Trelawney, which were destroyed by fire on Tuesday night. The school has been closed for the week as a result of the fire. The kitchen and washroom facilities were destroyed. Minister Reid says he's received a preliminary estimate of the damage.
I am getting the preliminary stages. We have just done the evaluation. We have to send for the technical team in to do engineering review to make sure that the structure that remains, whether it has to be further torn down or whatever adjustment. The total estimated cost for replacing the damaged building and facilities, including equipment, is $50 million. Once they have done all of the site evaluation and make the determination, hopefully all that can be done and commence shortly thereafter. We're hoping, very optimistically, we can begin some of the actual construction work by the end of the month.
A peek into the world of sport up next, but first, here is a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.